Using Law Review Indexes for the Advanced Legal Research course at Boston College Law School. How is index searching different from full-text searching? With full-text searching, you are trying to predict patterns of language used in the documents themselves. With index searching, a human being has looked at the document and tried to describe the main points, subjects, according to a controlled vocabulary called subject headings, so that all documents on the same subject are listed under the same subject heading. The result is that indexes will lead you to articles all about a particular topic as selected by a person who looked at the documents and understands the content. A full text search takes you to any document that uses your search terms. Full text can be a very useful way to search for many things, but when you're just starting to research a new topic, it can be better to start with an index and get articles all about that topic rather than all the documents that use your search terms. The first law review index we will look at is one originally called the Index to Legal Periodicals, now called the Index to Legal Periodicals and Books. This is the granddaddy of law review indexes. Before there were legal search engines, this was how lawyers found law review articles on a particular subject. While I don't expect you to use the print version of this index, looking at it in print can give us a better idea of how this index operates. Designed for browsing by lawyers, this had a list of broad legal subject headings used to describe legal writings in the front of every bound volume to help the researcher find the correct subject headings. Let's look for lawyer jokes as a subject. We first try looking up the word lawyer and get a cross-reference that tells us this index wasn't using the word lawyer at this time, it was using the word attorneys. The index listing for attorneys has lots of related terms in addition to the term attorneys, including barristers, prosecutors, and solicitors, so jokes about attorneys could be listed under attorneys, but they could be listed somewhat place else. Next, we go back to the outline looking for the word jokes and find nothing. So we try the synonym humor and make a breakthrough. Under the heading humor, legal, it says, see legal humor. Just to be sure, we look in the subject heading list under legal humor, and there it is, listed along with additional suggestions that we may also want to look at the heading law and the arts. The main part of the index includes entries under subject headings and authors' names. Here are a number of references to articles that an indexer has decided is an attempt at legal humor. Here's one of my favorites, the Gettysburg Address as written by law students taking an exam. There's also an entry under the title Nova, Humor in the Law Review Symposium. We can see here that one of the contributors to the symposium is Dave Barry, who isn't a lawyer. He wrote a humor column for the Miami Herald. There's also a top 10 list from the writers of the David Letterman Show. This looks promising. This index is available online. Use the All Law Library Databases link on our homepage to find a link to this database under the title Index to Legal Periodicals and Books. Running a search in the Index to Legal Periodicals and Books database for the Nova Humor in the Law Review Symposium gets us one result. You can find this symposium at BC by clicking the Find It at BC link. This symposium is available in print in the library, and information on where to find it is lower down on this page, but you can go directly to this article using the Hein Online link. Hein Online is your best source for older law reviews, and it is also your best source if you're looking for a PDF image. Back on our search results screen, we can use the subject headings this article was listed under to run a new subject heading search. You'll notice this is a slightly different subject heading than was used in the 1993 index. The search for law-humor as a subject heading gets us 617 results. I've added the word cartoon to our original search because I wanted to show you this entry for an article that has a very few words in it. And here is the article itself. You'll notice that the words law and humor don't appear anywhere at all in this cartoon. I think this record would have been hard to find using just a full text search unless you had already seen the cartoon and knew the words to look for. But it was one of our original 617 results. This is the second major law review index. In print, it is called the Current Law Index, but when accessed electronically from the publisher, it is called Legal Track. When this database is licensed to another legal research platform like Lexis or Westlaw, it's called the Legal Resources Index. This index was started at the beginning of the computer age, so even though you can use it in print, it began with a more search-based theory of indexing. Rather than using law-specific headings like the index to legal periodicals, the current law index classified each article according to the Library of Congress subject headings, which is an outline of all the knowledge in the world. Articles are further classified under subheadings to describe the content more precisely. Instead of putting all the funny articles under the heading legal humor, each article is put under a general heading like law and subheadings like analysis. The funny articles in this volume, under the subject heading law, appear under the subheading anecdotes, cartoons, satire, etc. And here we find the Gettysburg Address article. Under the subject heading law students, there's a subheading anecdotes, cartoons, satire, etc., where we see a hoped to be humorous article on the confessions of an admissions committee. Anecdotes, cartoons, satire, etc. is also a subheading under the subject law teachers, where we see minutes of the faculty meeting from a symposium on humor in the law from Brigham Young University Law Review. The electronic version of this database, when purchased from the publisher, is called Legal Track. And here it is on our BC Law Library database list. Let's try our basic search for the Nova Humor in the Law Review in the Legal Track native interface. This search gets 48 separate records, one for each of the articles in the symposium, and also a testimonial from the Case Western Reserve Law Review. When searching this database, make sure you are not unintentionally limiting your search to full text documents or peer-reviewed journals. To see what subjects your articles were indexed under, click on Subjects under Filter Your Results. These index entries do not display the subdivisions of the subject terms, but they are still searched by the search engine. To find the applicable subdivisions, we need to go to the Advanced Search page and then select Subject Guide Search. Having searched for the term lawyers, we then click on Subdivisions under that heading. This reveals the subdivisions under the heading Lawyers. We can scroll down to Humor and Anecdotes to see there are 104 articles that have been classified under this subdivision of the subject heading Lawyers. Selecting that subdivision, we see that of these 104 articles, 44 are in academic journals, 2 are in magazines, and 58 are news articles. Running a similar subject guide search for law schools, humor and anecdotes, we get 18 articles in academic journals and 10 in news sources. The first one is a link to one of the articles in the Nova Humor in the Law Review Symposium, so it looks like this method may actually help us find funny articles after all. As I mentioned, when you access this database through Lexis or Westlaw, it is called the Legal Resource Index. Access it on either system by starting to type Legal Resource Index into the universal search box and clicking on the title when it appears. A Westlaw advanced search for Nova Humor in the Law Review in the Legal Resources Index database retrieves records for the 47 articles in that symposium. On this record, we can see the subject heading and subheadings under the label Index Descriptors. Taking that information to an advanced search in this database by running a search for the subheading term Anecdotes in the index field, we get 2,561 articles that were classified under a heading or subheading that includes that term.